Oh, fuck. Where to begin, man? A lot of moving parts in this whole fucking situation, because that's what this is. This is an ugly situation from top to bottom. This whole fucking CM Punk fiasco / experiment / chaotic situation, man. Because now it has another level to it with Corey Graves. I'll explain that in a minute. Before I get to my thoughts on the situation, and if you guys saw my yesterday's video pre-fight, I was amplified in that video, and I dropped a lot of truth bombs about CM Punk and how he is not actually a fighter. Whether you like it or not, believe it or not, it doesn't matter. If you know what you're talking about in the fight game, you know CM Punk was never a fighter and that no amount of training is going to make him become a fighter. And that is putting him in a very dangerous position. But as hard as it was to hear, I had to say it because somebody had to say it. So catch that video if you didn't already. That was pre-fight. So you can pretty much know where I'm going to be going with my thoughts after the fight. And I'll get to that a little bit later in this video. I first want to touch up on some shit that's been going down since the fight ended. And these are some comments from some important people that got some info. I want to start first with the best news, I guess you could say, out of this whole bad situation. And that is, as you guys know, if you don't know, CM Punk after the fight was transported to the hospital. He was pretty fucked up. Ariel Helwani tweeted out at approximately 5:12 a.m. Eastern Time that CM Punk has been discharged from the hospital. So CM Punk is no longer in the hospital. That is good news. Because we didn't know how severe the head injuries were going to be. Dana White, post-fight, in his post-UFC conference that he always has, his presser. In that press conference, Dana White was specifically asked about CM Punk. Dana White officially has declared that that's a wrap. His official quote is, "We gave him 2 chances. Now that's a wrap." So, in a sense, what he's saying is you're cut, right? If he's standing by his words here, that's a wrap. We gave him 2 chances. Now that's a wrap, he said. And it looked like Dana White, it wasn't even anger. This was Dana White. The expression he was giving off was, listen, he's got no business being anywhere near an octagon. That was the look that I was giving off. That's the general expression on all of our faces this morning. Fighters, and judging by what they were saying as well after the fight, and just fans or people in the know of the fight game, that was hard to watch last night in so many different ways. It was hard to watch a human being getting beaten that fucking bad by a guy who was only giving him half his all. Mike Jackson wasn't even trying in there. He was fucking around. A lot of people are calling him a disrespectful fucking, Dana White's word was jackass last night, because he was just fucking around with Punk. He was staring straight while just fucking throwing dingers to Punk with a little half grin on his face. So it was clear that Mike Jackson, at least in the second round, Punk gave it everything he had in the first round. But at least in the early stages of the second round, Mike Jackson could have easily taken out Punk, knocked him out cold. But he didn't. A lot of people are saying maybe money was involved, and maybe if Mike Jackson lasted all 3 rounds, or let CM Punk last all 3 rounds, then maybe there was money to be made. I have no idea if that's true or not. But I definitely know Mike Jackson could have finished this fight in the second round, and Dana White thought so as well. And there ain't too many people that know about the fight game better than Dana White himself, who runs UFC. And that is, or fucking, yeah, he still runs UFC, even though they sold that son of a bitch. Dana White still runs that shit. And he said after, in his quotes, this is from Dana White, guys. He says, "I'll tell you who I'm not happy with, and that's Jackson. Mike Jackson could have ended the fight several times and instead acted like a jackass the whole time. As far as I'm concerned, they both lost." That's what Dana White said. So it looks like even though he beat CM Punk, Mike Jackson could be cut too. Dana White is furious with Mike Jackson because I don't think Dana White necessarily wanted to see CM Punk get made a fool out of himself and lose in the first or second round. But I think Dana White wanted the better fighter to just knock out the fucking guy in the fashion that he should be. Grant the respect for Punk that way. Letting Punk last 3 rounds is not giving him respect. You know, fighting him like a guy who is in the octagon, that is respect. If you knock him out, then he will eventually get up, shake your hand, or eventually you guys will shake hands, and that is how you gain somebody's respect. Dana White wanted to see a guy who was obviously capable of knocking out the other guy actually knock out that guy. Hopefully you guys are keeping up with me. So if we were all watching the same fight last night, Mike Jackson was toying with CM Punk the whole fucking time. And for some reason, there has to be more to this story. Mike Jackson never went for the knockout punch. He kept letting Punk get up. There were several times, or at least one main time, early second round, I believe, where Mike Jackson was on Punk. Punk was already winded. End of the first round, Punk was winded. The start of the second round, Punk was flat on his back. Mike Jackson over him. Jackson was fucking with him. And then Jackson just stood up. Now, I understand Mike Jackson's main claim to fame, not claim to fame, Mike Jackson was 0 for 1 going in, but what he's known for, I guess you could say, is standing up straight and doing his striking. So a lot of people could say, no, Jackson felt better standing up and striking. But I call bullshit, because Jackson knew, we all knew, when he was over Punk, Punk was done. Jackson just had the focus, pinpoint, and just start throwing those haymakers. Instead, he was fucking with him. He was staring all over the place and just toying with him, throwing a punch here and there with a grin on his face. That's fucked up. And then he just got up off of him. Like, get up. I'll fucking toy with you standing up. And he sparred with him a little bit. And the sparring alone was beating the fuck out of CM Punk. So I don't blame Dana White for being pissed at Mike Jackson, is my point, guys. Mike Jackson could have knocked out CM Punk early on in this fight, and he chose to fuck with him the entire 3 rounds. I don't know if it was complete disrespect for Punk and he just wanted to toy with him for as long as he could. Maybe he wanted the most airtime that he could possibly get on the pay-per-view, or maybe there was money involved. Or maybe he is just a jackass and was just wanted to fuck around with Punk and show how much of a better fighter he is. And that's not saying much because Mike Jackson didn't look like a grand fighter in there. But against CM Punk, Mike Jackson looked like a fucking Mike Tyson in there. I mean, to say this was a one-sided fight is a true understatement, and that would do the fight injustice. This was a beating. And I saw some clips of slow motion, the fight in slow motion. And guys, the pounding that CM Punk took, the look on his face when he was leaving the octagon, it probably looks a lot worse this morning. That was a fucking beating that CM Punk took. And after that fight, Mike Jackson was asked what advice he would give CM Punk. Mike Jackson said, "Stop. Stop." That was his quote. And he went on to say, "This is real shit, what we do in the octagon in this whole fight game. And he's going to get himself really badly hurt if he keeps this up. Stop." And he's right. And a lot of fighters came out and said, this has to be it for CM Punk's fucking well-being, man. The guy's going to go out there and get fucking killed. Again, if you guys saw my video yesterday, you know exactly what I'm talking about, man. He's not a fighter. No amount of training can make you a fighter. You either have it or you don't. The elite fighters in the UFC or any big fight promotion, the elite guys, their training enhances their fight skills, but they already have an initial fight instinct and killer instinct in them. They're already true fighters. You learn that from a young age if you are or if you're not. So you already have that instilled in you. Then you go and get the training and you become a fucking monster and a real true legit badass in the octagon. Or in the street, wherever you prefer to fight. But if you just don't have it, that killer instinct, you're not a fighter, you're unathletic, you're fucking unorthodox. These are all the things that Punk is. He never was athletic in WWE. Sorry, guys, for you diehard CM Punk fans. Sorry, not sorry. He was never athletic. Go back and watch Punk matches. The running bulldog, the springboard, the flying elbow. All these moves were so sloppy, messy, and cringeworthy for me to watch as a wrestling fan for 30 fucking years. Watching CM Punk in the ring, most times, it was sloppy as fuck. But CM Punk had so many other things going for him. He could captivate you in other ways. The promo and being on the microphone, one of the main ones. But CM Punk was able to make it where he was in the business by finding other things in ways to captivate us. And it worked. But he was never fucking athletic in that ring. He just wasn't. And you saw it last night. He's like a Vince McMahon. He's unorthodox. He's just not athletic. He's not a fighter. And when you're not, no amount of training in the world is going to let you go into the octagon and start picking up wins. Not going to happen. I stick with Dana White and Mike Jackson and all the other fighters that finally came out. And instead of saying, good job, Punk, like, try it again, man. Don't let your dream slip away. And instead, now they're being realistic. Dude, you're going to hurt yourself. Dude, you might kill yourself, dude. Stop this fucking charade. That's what people are finally coming out and saying today. It's one thing that, it's cool. You're living your dream. Don't ever let anyone tell you no. But dude, when this is a fucking farce, a charade, and you're actually going to fucking hurt yourself to the point of fucking no return, maybe, the beating he took last night, that was from Mike Jackson. Imagine if Mickey Gall actually didn't want to tap him out and just pin him down there and beat the fuck out of him. Or somebody even more severe in the future if Punk wants to keep the charade up, which again, it won't be in UFC. Because Dana White already said absolutely not. You're cut. That's a wrap. But at some point, we have to stand up and say, fuck trying to be the PC people bunch that we are. And trying to let everyone have smiles on their faces every day, right? Punk, go for your dreams. Not if it means fucking destroying yourself and your wife, right? AJ, you want to be around for her. Maybe one day have a family. Who knows, man? Stop this shit. You talk about how wrestling gave you such a fucking beating. That pales in comparison to what the fuck happened last night, man. And Punk, we say it, guys. I said on my Twitter last night, even though my comments in yesterday's video, the first thing I said in that tweet last night after he lost, what'd I say, guys? For those of you following me on Twitter, I said nothing but respect. Because even though it was embarrassing to watch that fight, Punk literally gave everything he had in there. He gave all of his heart. Unfortunately, in an octagon or in a street fight, your heart can only get you so fucking far. If you have zero skills in the octagon, you're gonna lose. No amount of training can fucking get you to where you want to be if you just don't have it. Your heart was huge last night. But that was all you brought into the octagon. You brought nothing else. Don't kid yourself, guys. CM Punk was never close to winning that fight. Not even one iota. And that's scary to think about. Not once, all 3 rounds, was Punk even close to winning that fight. That means he took a fucking beating. And I stand with Dana White. He did the right thing last night when he declared that is a wrap. And I stick with Mike Jackson, even though he might be a true legit jackass and an asshole. Him giving his honest advice to CM Punk. Stop. Stop. You're gonna hurt yourself. That was basically Jackson saying, I could have done more damage to you. I fucking let you off the hook. Stop now, dude. I have nothing but respect for you, but stop. So those were the comments from Dana White. Again, Ariel Helwani said he was discharged from the hospital. CM Punk left. Rogan wanted to interview Punk after the fight. Punk just left the octagon. I don't know if he was just hurt too bad or he wanted to give Mike Jackson the platform or he just didn't want to talk to Rogan because Rogan was always dissing him for the last 2 years. There's no love between those two. So I don't think CM Punk wanted to talk to Joe Rogan. But CM Punk left the octagon and apparently he went straight to the hospital. But he has been discharged. Dana White, not long after, has declared that that's a wrap for CM Punk. There will be no more CM Punk in the UFC. Now, CM Punk left a statement as well. I'm going to get to Corey Graves. This is a huge thing going on with Corey Graves, guys, in CM Punk. Corey Graves called out CM Punk last night, basically. Not basically, he did. But this was CM Punk's statement he left on social media. You win some, you lose some. I'm 1-1 this week, and I'll take it. He's talking about the court case that he beat Dr. Aman. in from earlier in the week. So he's 1-1 this week, and I'll take it. Thanks to my team, my family, my friends, and the fans. Wouldn't be here without any of you. Respect to the Truth Jackson. Thanks for the fight. You only live once, and I'm alive. There was 4 exclamation points in this whole statement, so he really wanted to drive home his hoorah speech. The problem with this is it contradicts Punk, and I told you guys from the beginning, CM Punk contradicts himself. That's why I lost a lot of respect for CM Punk, because he contradicts himself. He doesn't care what anyone thinks about him. He shits on his fans all the time. But then, when he wants the sympathy, or he wants to reverse and turn the tables, now he's thanking the fans in capital letters. But his fans, he knows, are from pro wrestling. He didn't accumulate any MMA fans. What MMA fans did he accumulate? The guys, he only had 2 fights, and they were 2 fucking drastic bad losses. Embarrassing. So his fans are pro wrestling. So now I'm going to drop truth for you, right? This is going to be truth as much as it's going to hurt. You thank the fans, which are all from pro wrestling, but in just 2 days ago's interviews, and in all the interviews leading up to UFC, and in the last year and a half, if you think about it, you've been referring to WWE as that phony world. The fake place was your last statement about WWE. The fake place. You claim you want nothing to do with wrestling ever again. You think you're done. You're pretty much done, right? WWE especially, but even with wrestling. And you actually said that in one of the interviews. The headline was, CM Punk proclaims he is done with pro wrestling. So you won't even give it another, nowhere else. You won't even show up to say fucking, oh, thank you or anything like that, right? Now, I think fully down the line he will. You know what I mean? We can say we're not going to do something now, and then we'll eventually do it later. I think this is one of those situations. I think CM Punk, if he's smart enough, will be all in, to be honest with you. But that's neither here nor there. That's his fucking choice. That's his prerogative. Back to the contradiction. You claim, oh, the fans are now first and foremost all of a sudden. The whole week leading up, it was just about your wife, your family, your coaches, and your close friends. That was it. It wasn't about the fans at that point. And you just shit on pro wrestling. Pro wrestling, the fake place, the phony fucking world, and fucking fans are this, fans are that. Oh, they go every which way, and you just shit on them. But when it serves you, now all of a sudden, the fans are your saving grace. Dude, you can fool a lot of your fan base. I'm sure you will. Your Twitter will be all your fucking, oh, CM Punk, you got such heart. Oh, come back, CM Punk. You're going to do it, man. Come back to Reddit. We love you. That's awesome for you guys. I see through the bullshit. I see through the fucking bullshit that he's putting out there. You shit on pro wrestling. You call it the fake place now that you're no longer in it. It's the phony world. When that's where you made your name. How can you shit on the place that fucking made you? And because you weren't happy with your fucking positioning, you made this big fucking hoopla. You were a big reason, guy, why this marriage got such an ugly divorce with WWE. It wasn't just them, buddy. And I'm not the only one that sees through the bullshit. His close best friend, former best friend, Corey Graves, saw through the bullshit, and Corey Graves took to Twitter, and he stormed CM Punk last night, guys. This is a little bit from CM Punk. This was the first tweet that he sent out last night, guys. This is from Corey Graves. Maybe abandoning everybody who stood by your side, even when we weren't supposed to, only to have you turn your back on us, wasn't the right move after all. No anger, only sadness. The first rule of punk rock is loyalty. And this guy betrayed it all. I still love you, my friend, in parentheses. And I'm sorry you... Is that quote? Quote, not parenthesis. That's in quotes. Sorry. I still love you, my friend. Quotes. And I'm sorry you got lost. Don't worry, Vince McMahon. You either, Triple H. This isn't corporate. This is real life. That's heavy, man. He called out Punk straight out. And I think that's awesome to do because now Punk needs to hear the truth. And he went on. This guy, Dan, a fan of maybe Corey Graves or just a troll of Corey Graves, I have no idea. But Dan goes, so where's your loyalty? Not to your friend, but with the billion-dollar corporation bosses. So Corey Graves responded to this guy and said, one can only be shit on by their best friend, again in quotes, for so long before they smarten up. But it's cool. I'm sure you love Kenny Omega. How awesome was that from Corey Graves? Corey Graves told this guy, Dan, basically, you're just a fucking WWE shill who claims they hate WWE yet follows their every fucking move. And you're one of those guys that tries to be cool, and the new cool thing in pro wrestling is Kenny Omega over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Everybody's being compared to Kenny Omega, and that's the cool thing in pro wrestling. So Corey Graves is basically calling him out on that. I fucking love that. Because the cool thing in pro wrestling is diss Roman Reigns and fucking kiss Kenny Omega's ass. I love that. That was really cool. That was a good shot by Corey Graves. Corey Graves later apologized to Kenny Omega for using his name in such a bad light. In a negative way, I think is what he said. So, props for Corey Graves to apologize for Omega. It was nothing against Omega. It was just calling out those fucking... Oh, man, I'm not going to make fun of them. But those fans that just... They're such nerds, man. Kenny Omega's the best thing in pro wrestling, man. New Japan is like nuts. Why can't WWE be like this? Those fucking motherfuckers. I'm glad Corey Graves took a little shot because you cannot compare New Japan and WWE. It's two different entities. You can love New Japan Pro Wrestling better than WWE, but you can't compare them. So that was good. But then another guy, Lou, jumped in and said, sad that Corey Graves is distraught and targeting CM Punk tonight. Corey Graves responded, dude, I'm far from distraught. I'm in a good place right now. I'm just really bummed that I had a true friend turn his back on me for no other reason than the company that employs me. And Graves went on and he left it wasn't directed at Punk, but you know it was. In other words, CM Punk I don't think was tagged in it, but he just said in a separate tweet, I'll fight you. So he's fucking... You know, I think he's giving his former friend the truth right now. I don't think he actually wants to fight CM Punk. I think he's trying to say this is tough love. And Fightful.com, Fightful Podcast, whatever it is, they actually reached out to Corey Graves because Corey Graves has been involved in things with Booker T before, and they didn't really know the extent of what Corey Graves, how far he was taking this CM Punk thing and how real it was. And Fightful found out that this was 100% legit, and Fightful asked Corey Graves, we heard that Punk gave several friends an ultimatum to leave WWE or lose him as a friend. And Corey Graves responded, and he said, I texted CM Punk once about grabbing dinner because we were in Chicago, and he told me he no longer had any interest in being friends with me or anyone related to WWE. What set me off this week was when he essentially disowned the business that made him. And that's what I'm telling you guys, man. Oh, I'm sorry, there's more. I'm not the only one. I won't name names, but there is a large group of us that feel this way. So, Corey Graves confirmed everything I told you guys months ago in that first video I ever made about this whole situation and how I feel CM Punk is the sole reason AJ Lee is no longer in WWE. It was never because she was not happy. It was never because she lost interest. And it was never, well, maybe she was not happy because her husband wasn't happy, yes. But not in her own right. She was fucking on cloud nine. AJ Lee had the fucking championship. She was involved in great storylines. They were giving her fucking the utmost fucking spots on the cards. For the women anyway at that time. And all of a sudden she just leaves because she lost that spark. No, fuck that. It was because CM Punk was giving ultimatums. And if he was giving those ultimatums, and again, this isn't me anymore, guys. I knew it was happening. Most of you guys fucking saw through it too, and you fucking believed what I was telling you. Some of you were like, no, I think AJ Lee it was time for her to fucking just move on, that's all. No, this was CM Punk giving ultimatums, and now we have proof. Corey Graves came out and said not just him, there is a group of us in that locker room that know the truth. And you know damn well he told AJ Lee there's no way you can be there. And you can see that, you know, you can't blame her up front. That's your fucking, if that's your wife or husband, you'd probably leave too, right? But that's a shitty situation that a woman so young, with so much talent, and really setting off this revolution for the women, and really making such an awesome career for herself. At that age, she already had an amazing Hall of Fame portfolio going. And wham, just like that, because your fucking husband threw a fucking hissy fit, like a schoolgirl, she has to leave too. And he gave all these ultimatums. There's no doubt in my mind AJ Lee got an ultimatum. And she can't go back to WWE because Punk will forbid it. Just like he disowned his friends. I now have confirmation that everything I said in that video months ago was correct. It was CM Punk all along. Because AJ Lee, even after Punk and WWE had that ugly divorce, AJ Lee was still with WWE. I think Punk had enough and said, that's it, get out. I'm fucking done with this, and I'm going to tell everyone else in WWE, you either leave the company or we're no longer friends. Corey Graves confirmed that shit, man. So you can hate Corey Graves all you want and say, hey, this was a bad time to kick Punk when he was already down. But maybe it's the right time. Somebody needs to talk some fucking sense into this guy. Corey Graves went on to say, guys, that, man, I wish I put it down too, man, in my notes. I don't know why the fuck I didn't, so I'm going to fucking butcher it, and I don't want to. It's not going to be a direct quote. But he went on to say that, in a roundabout way, I'm going to paraphrase, but Punk is delusional right now. And he basically created his own world in his head. And he thinks that everybody is against him. And just because Vince McMahon and Triple H and him had the falling out, that everybody in WWE is against him. And Punk himself admitted in an interview this week that he's got extreme anxiety that came out of nowhere within the last year and a half. So Punk is getting weird, man. And we can only hope, you know, the mind is a funky place to be at and live in. So I honestly hope that CM Punk mentally just relaxes and gets better, man, because you claim you were unhappy in WWE. Well, I doubt you're going to be any happier in UFC because you're taking a fucking beating every fucking time. And again, thank goodness you tapped out in 2 minutes to Mickey Gall your first fight, because I dread to think what Gall would have done to you, because Gall is leaps and bounds better than Mike Jackson. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Graves thing and the Punk thing, but it's what I expected all along, and that was that Punk was basically drawing a line between all of his friends who are still with WWE and him too, and you can't do that, man. You have to have loyal. A friend is a friend. They're not going to leave. They're not going to all follow what AJ Lee did for you. AJ Lee had to, because that's your wife. And that's a shame that she had to do that. But everyone else has bills to pay, buddy. You can still be friends with them. You just don't talk about, you go out to dinner and you don't talk anything about WWE. That's fine, right? Chris Jericho once wanted him for his podcast. Chris Jericho and him, they had a falling out at first, and then they became friends as time went on in WWE. And Chris Jericho was just reaching out, dude, like, hey, you want to fucking talk? Come on my show. And CM Punk thought that was, and felt that was just CM Punk trying to get fucking Chris Jericho trying to get a scoop. Not everybody's out to get you. What a weird dude Punk is, man. Very fucking strange. But he's got to get his shit together now. Thank goodness Dana White has, in all a sense, cut CM Punk. By saying that's a wrap. That is a cut job, I believe. And Dana White has said, that's it, man. We gave you 2 tries. Thank goodness. Because this cannot go on anymore. Now we're just watching a human being going in there and getting fucking catapulted into the canvas. Into that mat. And again, if this was somebody with a higher skill level, Mike Jackson was right there with CM Punk. If this was somebody that could actually fight with skill level, man, wow. Punk, I don't know if he would be walking out of the octagon last night. Luckily, it was Mike Jackson. Luckily, Mike Jackson was being a jackass. Luckily, Mike Jackson was being a fucking clown and an asshole last night and just fucking around with Punk. Could you imagine if Mike Jackson went full throttle? Punk would not be walking out. Transported to the hospital immediately from Mike Jackson. Think about that, guys. You can hate my words all you want, but you know they're fucking facts every time. Because I know how to separate opinion and just my thoughts from facts. And every time I make a video and put it out for you guys, I try to have more fact than anything. I said from day one when I first saw his training session, just like Joe Rogan said. Joe Rogan said this months and months ago. He said, I once saw Punk train before that Mickey Gall fight, and I go, wow, this is not good. And that was the same reaction I had. This was not good. I knew from the beginning Punk was not a fighter, and not even Rufus himself can save this motherfucker. And I said it from day one, Punk will never get a victory in MMA. He doesn't have it. He has a heart of gold. And again, I respect that. But I no longer can respect a guy just going in there and getting beat up. At what point do we have to look at a grown adult and say, dude, grow the fuck up. This is no longer about your dream. I'm seeing just that on social media too from his fan. Oh, you lived your dream, which is more than 99% of other people do. They're sitting on the couch. Go for it again if you want, Punk. We stand behind you. Say what you want about Punk. You can trash him all you want, but he gained 100% of my respect last night. Heart of a champion. This is all great for hoorah speeches, guys. But you're encouraging somebody to go in there and put his life on the line every single time now, because that's what's really happening. So now it's on your fucking head. Everyone who's given him this fucking fake fucking encouragement, this is on your head now. The blood is on your hands now. You deal with it. Because people like me, who you say are trashing him, are just trying to tell him the truth. We're trying to save this motherfucker. We actually want to see him come home one day to pro wrestling. But now what he did is he tarnished his career. You want more truth? He did, guys. By putting on this farce. It's no longer about CM Punk agreeing to come back to WWE because Vince McMahon told Stone Cold 2 years ago, sure, we'll accept CM Punk back. No reason not to. See, Vince McMahon has falling outs with fucking Ultimate Warrior, Savage. They all went in the fucking Hall of Fame. Hulk Hogan, he came back. Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar, so many huge falling outs. They all came back. Vince McMahon will let you back. It's best for business. CM Punk was the one who said, I'm done. WWE is my fucking arch nemesis, my enemy, all that shit. That's great. But now the tables have reversed. Now if I'm WWE, I can't bring CM Punk back anytime in the near future. I can't. Because we're not going to believe he's going to beat up Braun Strowman now. We're not going to believe he's going to beat up Brock Lesnar when he couldn't beat up Mike Jackson. I don't mean to laugh. I know Punk got really beat up, man, and he got taken to the hospital, and this is a serious situation. I don't mean to laugh, but think about it. You're going to watch CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar in WWE now? In WWE, we're supposed to suspend that reality and fucking believe in what we're watching. I can't believe CM Punk is going to beat up any of these guys, not even Roman Reigns. I saw a lot of jokes. He did better than Roman would have done in the octagon. I beg to differ, guys. Something tells me Roman would have went in there and gave it a much better fight. He would have fucking taken out Jackson, probably. Because Jackson wasn't fucking great either. He was just leaps and bounds greater than CM Punk. But now, if I'm WWE, if I'm Vince, if I'm Triple H, I can't bring CM Punk back for a couple of years, man. You have to hope that many people try to forget this atrocity. So if I'm CM Punk, what I do now, what's next for CM Punk, guys? First of all, I take a couple months off and I just sit at home with my dog Larry, my wife AJ Lee, and I try to rebound. I try to get my smile back, to quote Shawn Michaels. I go to my favorite restaurants over there in CM Punk in Chicago, if I'm CM Punk, and I fucking just, I be around my close circle, which is probably only 4 or 5 people now, because he secluded himself and bricked himself off from everybody else. But that's what I do. I just try to be happy. And in September, is it September? I think it is, right? Yeah, it is. September. If I'm CM Punk, I'm all in. Even if you don't want to come back to pro wrestling full-time, or even part-time, or even quarter-time, I would just show up, give a hello to the fans, maybe drop a GTS, make it a fun moment, take off, collect a little payday, See some old friends. Maybe try to fucking say I'm sorry to a few of them, even though it's not WWE. All In is from Cody Rhodes, the Bucks, and all of them. But if I'm CM Punk, there's no reason. If you say thank you to the fans in capital letters now you're not shitting on them. Now they're not fans of the phony shit, the fake world. Now they're fans again of you. If there truly are, stop by and say hello to them at All In. If you truly despise WWE, go to All In. That has nothing to do with WW. Come on, bro. Put your money where your mouth is. Go see your fans. I don't see what this wall against pro wrestling is. It's like you thought you were better than pro wrestling, and you tried to be this UFC hotshot. It still irks me. Somebody sent me a thing. When you type in CM Punk's name, Google or whatever, it comes up as mixed martial artists. And in other sites, a UFC fighter. Dude, 2 fights, and they were miserably embarrassing. That doesn't make you a mixed martial artist or a UFC fighter. Dude, you're a pro wrestler. Own that shit. It's okay. It's what made you CM Punk that you are today. And you just never want to come home to see your fans. That now all of a sudden when you lost, you fucking love them again. Prove it. You're either all out with your fans or you're all in. The choice is yours, my friend. And that's where I'm going to leave this. There's nothing left to say. That was hard to watch. You never want to see any human being taking a beating like that in a fight. But especially somebody that you actually want to see do good, man. Because CM Punk did give us some good years in WWE. And it's hard to watch such a fall from grace. You know what I mean? Somebody who claimed he was the best in the world in WWE and in pro wrestling, but you knew he wasn't. You knew he's nowhere near the skill level of Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, not even Kenny Omega, Seth Rollins. I mean, nowhere near that. But we gave him the coin best in the world because he still captivated us in other ways. And now to see him just exposed like this, and like he's just really bad at fighting. He's really, really bad. It's no longer he just can't fight. He's bad. And now to ever see him in pro wrestling again, man, hopefully I can just reset my mind and like suspend reality and believe again. You know what I mean? Hopefully. Hopefully CM Punk puts on a little bit more weight. He was looking way too thin there, man. Put on some weight and fucking... I would like to. I know you guys are wondering if I would like to see him back in pro wrestling. Absolutely. Like I just said, I would like to see him be all in. And one day, down the road, a couple years from now, I would like a return to WWE. Even if it's a one-off, a Hall of Fame, something. I think he deserves it. I want to end this video on a high note, guys. Ronda Rousey, congratulations. It was announced last night at UFC 225 that Ronda Rousey will be the first ever female inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. How badass. And that also pretty much explains why WWE fast-tracked Ronda Rousey to a title shot at Money in the Bank and not SummerSlam. It was supposed to be Ronda Rousey Natty and then Ronda Rousey Nia Jax SummerSlam. They upped that to Ronda Rousey, Nia Jax, Money in the Bank. Now we know why. Because weeks ago, UFC reached out to WWE and Ronda Rousey and said, we'd like to put you there. And that's probably when the plan was put in motion to put Ronda Rousey into that title match at Money in the Bank this Sunday. Also in Chicago. So it'll be interesting Sunday at Money in the Bank, man. Are we going to hear CM Punk chants? Is WWE going to take some jabs? We got to see, man. But that's all I have right now. I'm sure this situation with Corey Graves and Punk is going to evolve throughout the day, and I'm probably going to want to make 20 more videos, but I'm going to try not to. And I'm sure a lot more information will come out with CM Punk. But in all seriousness, we wish CM Punk nothing but the best, nothing but utmost happiness. And that's why I make videos like this, and a lot of us try to tell Punk the truth. For your wife, for your dog Larry, for the close friends that you have left. Be smart, man. You don't need this anymore. And now we're just... The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. At this point, if CM Punk ever fights anywhere ever again, that's just insanity. You don't forget me, I won't forget you. The Amplified Man. Till next time, check you.